So I recently met up with a whistleblower. This is somebody who actually used to live on the base that was part of either the army or the military police. I don't want to say which one because I don't want to give information out about this person's identity, but they wanted to reach out to me to let me know about what they experienced in the lead up to losing their home. You know, the beautiful base that once was, that housed our servicemen from both America and our beautiful country of Britain. Now, within the base, they had military police and they also had the army. Now, one day they were called into a meeting and they were informed that Operation Dupe was going to take place. And Operation Dupe was going to be a prison. They were told that 2 prisons were going to be built on the premises and that they were going to be leaving within 3 to 6 months. Now, what happened is that many of the service personnel that were living on site knew that there was no way this prison was going to be built. They knew that the fields that were on the site had actually been contaminated with a product which had come from some of the helicopters and items that were actually on the base. They knew that if any building works was to take place, this could disturb the area and actually infiltrate the water systems. So in their minds, they were just thinking this isn't right, but they couldn't say anything and they had to accept the fate. Now, unfortunately, what happened was, which has truly shocked me and I think will shock a lot of people, is that some of the army personnel and the military police had to present at Braintree District Council as homeless because they had nowhere to go. And some military families were actually living in B&Bs until they found a property, which is absolutely shocking that they not only lost their homes and they've served in this country and elsewhere for us, but they were then treated like that and given B&Bs. We've got men coming over and being given, you know, these beautiful places to live and all of these lovely things to do, whilst our own military that have put themselves on the line, have got severe PTSD, have been away from their families, have then got their homes taken away from them. They've lost everything. And for what? For the very men that they were fighting against to be put into their home. I just think it's disgusting. And for me, this has been one of the most toughest whistleblower conversations that I've ever had to have. And a few, you know, little bits of information as well about this. So people would come to that base from all across the country. You would get Americans that would come and visit the base who grew up on there, that played baseball on the fields. And they had all these fond memories. It wasn't just a place where our personnel lived. It was their own community, a community that understood each other and knew what it was like to go and fight and put your life on the line for your country, and to know that your family was safe behind the wire, being looked after by your colleagues, by your friends, and that everybody supported one another. And to take that away from these people when they have all this PTSD and all this pain and mental anguish that they've had to go through for their country, I just think is truly shocking. Some other things that I wanted to mention was that I was also told by this person that if the army and military police on site would have known that it was really going to go to illegal immigrants, they would have protested. There would have been uproar about this. They wouldn't have gone quietly. Now, James cleverly was aware of obviously this situation and he did have some conversations, but I don't think he did enough for these people. I really don't. Now, with the 2 prisons, they obviously are never going to happen. That's not going to be able to take place. And on the base itself, it didn't just have army and military police. It had police forces coming on to be trained in, you know, our firearms, in drug and bomb disposal. So we lost all of that extra service that was running there. A lot of them that are, you know, in the army and military that lived on this base, they do feel like they're quite hushed, that they can't speak out due to the Secrecy Act. They're quite scared to speak out, but they're very upset about it and really upset to have lost their home. I mean, there were children living on this base that actually went to the Wethersfield village school, and the teacher that was at the school actually lost her job because 14 children instantly were gone from that school when the base was closed. So you can imagine these children, they've got parents that are fighting in our military, or, you know, our army and our police in there from America too. They're fighting and doing all of that. And they've got this community, all these children get on like a family, and it's all ripped from them, all ripped for them on lies, on lies. You know, our government and the Home Office, literally pulled their homes from underneath their feet. I've even had some of them tell me that once they left the base, they were given electricity bills of like £5,000 for their properties, which they've not paid out of protest. I just think that's shocking too. The illegals are not paying for their electricity costs. There also was a lot of carpet moth infestations in the property at Wethersfield, and the military people that were staying there, they had to pay for that to be rectified themselves. They didn't get that money back when they were kicked out of their homes. They also had a lot of works that needed to be done. There was a communal area where they kept asking for the windows to be redone and for an upgrade, which was never given to them by the MOD. And then when they've gone, they've seen footage of people getting in the base, and they can see that they've had all of these remedial works done. It's just disgraceful that people in our serving military could be treated this way, and I think it's really shocking. It really pulls at my heart to know that good people have been treated so badly, and I hope they know that that's not a reflection on what the people that live in this country think of them. You know, it's, to me, what they did to these people, these army and these military police, it was like psychological warfare, because they've gone through all of that stuff and they took their home from them. It's disgusting. They all knew that something wasn't adding up. You know, there was a gliding club there as well. That had to be closed. There was, you know, a beautiful runway, 3 runways on there that were in an A shape. You know, that's not being used. And they said that they feel really heartbroken when they see what's actually going on. They said that the canteen was a place where people used to come together and celebrate. There was concerts. A lot of the, you know, family members on site actually had jobs at Wethersfield. Some of them worked behind the bar. You know, they were doing cleaning. So it was, like I said, a whole community of people that came together. You know, there was even military that lived on site that actually were killed in Afghanistan, and we've got Afghanistan men being housed there. Like, how disrespectful is that? You know, I'm not painting all Afghans as the same here, but when you've got people that lived on that base that died at the hands of people in Afghanistan, and then you're housing people there, it's just the biggest kick in the teeth to those people's family. You know, and a lot of them have said to me that they've got PTSD, and what happened to them with being removed from their homes, like in this way, has really affected them. It's really, really hurt them. You know, I also know that when they were made to leave, they were actually escorted out and had to hand in their car parking passes, which really upset them too, because they felt like, you know, they'd done something wrong. So even the way that it was handled when they were asked to leave really did affect them. Now, I know as well that with the Wethersfield airbase, they had the museum there, and I've gone to visit the museum myself, and I know that they don't actually have a memorial, which I find shocking. The base is like 46 years old. There's so many personnel that served in that base, so many stories, so much heritage, so much history. And our Home Office, our government, they can't even be bothered to give these people a memorial. These men and women that fought for our country and, you know, put their lives on the line and still do every day because they're getting up with their PTSD and carrying on. I will make it my mission to make it known that they need a war memorial for what they've done. And I really hope this message gets out to the Home Office and to the government, and that you look at yourself and you realise that these are real heroes. These are the people that put their lives on the line. You don't. All you do is take money and you destroy lives. So put your money where your mouth is, please, and give these people the war memorial that they deserve, because you've taken their homes from them, but you're not going to take their memories from them. We will make sure that they have a memorial that is fitting and a tribute to them and the service that they did for our country.